Hello and welcome to the Whirly Bloke channel. Today I'm going to take a look at this OwlRX Fat Shark diversity module from OwlRC that's got a couple of really neat tricks up its sleeve. When I first started playing with FPV a few years ago, the only modules available for the Fat Shark goggles were the ones from Fat Shark. And now there's loads to choose from with different feature sets, prices and quality. And on the face of it, this OwlRX diversity module from OwlRC looks similar to lots of other Fat Shark modules. But at £75, it's half the price of the RapidFire, and it's got a couple of really neat tricks up its sleeve. Before I get on to the review and test, I was curious who OwlRC are. So I reached out to them and found that they're a really interesting company. I vaguely knew about their SWR meter, but that was about it. Now, OwlRC is basically one bloke called Gregor who's a full-time RF electronics and software engineer and loves FPV. In his spare time, he designed an SWR meter because he had video issues and there were no affordable tools to tune his antennas. So he designed his own and shared it on the RC Groups forum, where he met Harley, who helped him with manufacturing. And so OwlRC was born. Then he started crashing lots. So he designed his own rigid stretch frame, the Dragon, and that's available from Banggood. He checked out the performance of the True-D, LaForge and Achilles diversity receivers so he could get better video reception, and decided he'd design his own that had less breakup, flickering and blackouts. So in his free evenings he came up with this, the OwlRX diversity module, which is pretty impressive really. Now, his design uses sort of traditional diversity but at a much faster switching speed than other modules. Insane mode can switch between the receivers at 16 kHz, which is a whole new league for analog receivers. And because his design was born out of need, he's included another awesome feature. The OSD in the goggle view means that you don't have to take them off to change the channel or use the settings menu. Although it seems like a really small thing, it makes this module so convenient to use. It's fantastic. So in the box you get a small instruction sheet as normal, a little 3D printed cover for your module in your Fat Shark goggles. This looks like it's PLA, and here's the module itself. It's got 3 buttons along the bottom. The middle one is for selecting the menu option, and the 2 outer ones of navigating up and down your menu. It's actually got 40 channels with low and high bands and works using PAL and NTSC. It also supports low and high band video channels that you can choose to disable if you want in the menu. If you've got them all turned on, you've actually got 72 channels to choose from. And on the bottom here there's a micro USB connector, so there's obviously some way to update the firmware on this module. So let's get this connected up. So fitting is pretty straightforward. You just slot your module in there, all fairly standard. Let's get the cover. It's quite nicely printed, this. Now there is a link in the description below because they do actually publish the STL file for this. So if you want to print your own in a different colour, you've got black goggles or something like that, that's no problem. Or you might want to print it in nylon or something. So, and it's a pretty good fit, I have to say. You don't want to be pulling that in and out too often because PLA is not that strong or resilient, but that isn't going anywhere. That's really good. So let's get this powered up. There we go, OwlRC. So the module powers up into channel mode, and the little LED shows you which of the antennas is currently being selected don't have an antenna connected at the moment, so it doesn't really matter. But the great thing is you can use these channel buttons on the outside of the module to scroll up and down, whichever channel you currently have selected. It also uses the standard channel selectors on the Fat Sharks itself. There you can see that doubles as a channel selector, which is pretty good. If you want to change the actual band, press and hold and it goes to band B. Press and hold, it's on F, race band, and once you're in that band you can just scroll up and down, or you can use the old traditional channel selectors that are on the Fat Shark modules themselves, which is pretty good. The middle button selects the menu, just long press, and shows that we're in channel mode. We can go to frequency mode, which allows you to just choose the actual frequency that you want in the display here rather than choosing a channel. Long press again to get back to the menu. Favorites, you can, got nothing in my favorites at the moment. If we go back to, let me come out of that, go back to channel mode, then let's go down here and pick one of these. Race band. To select this in your favourites list, just press the menu, the little heart favourite light comes on, and you can turn it on and off to select it within the favourites group. Let's have a look at the menu again. Long press, channel mode, frequency mode, favourites, and we got band scanned. I don't have anything at the moment, but you'll get the usual sort of histogram on here, which is pretty useful. And we've got finder, which is just a way of finding where your signal is. You get a heat sensor to give you some way of tracking down your quad if it's lost somewhere and you don't have a lost finder, a keeper, buzzer, whatever. And these are the settings. Go into settings. You can turn diversity on and off. Why you'd ever want to turn it off, I've no idea. This is insane mode, which is the 16 kilohertz switching between the two diversity channels. Don't see why you want to turn that off either. So OSD menu you can turn on and off, and I like the way that the diversity RSSI signal is shown just as a number. Some of the Fat Shark modules like the RapidFire have 2 bars running along the top. To be honest, I don't really care which receiver is giving me the best signal when I'm flying. I don't have time to look at it, and the bars just take up useful real estate in the screen, and I'd rather just have a simple number that's giving me a relative value of what the signal strength is. And you can turn on and off the low bands if you want to. I've got them turned on at the moment. So let's go back and have a look and see which of those is available. Hit exit, there we go. So let's select channel. So we've got race band, long press to go to the next band. We've got high band, long press, U band, O band, this is quite low, extra low band. There we go, we're back to A. So in total you can actually get 72 channels if your VTX actually supports those low bands. So the next thing I guess is to get these connected up, and I'll get you some DVR footage to give you some idea of how they perform in the field. Now I think this is one of the really nice features of this, is that you can use the buttons on the module, which are fairly easy to operate. They're not too fiddly like some of the other ones that have the thumb wheel at the side, which is really hard to use. And it's just nice that you can switch between using the buttons on the front or just use the buttons on there. These don't work in the menu selection. It's only these that allow you to navigate the on-screen menu, but the channel selection does actually work with the buttons, which is really nice. If you push me hard, there's a couple of small niggles. I don't think they're deal breakers though. This cover, for example, is 3D printed in PLA, and if you take this on and off too many times, I think these tabs will eventually break. But it does hold the module in very securely, and it fits most of the Fat Shark models, which is pretty good. But OwlRC do provide an STL file for this 3D printed part, so you can go and print your own. You might be able to print one in nylon, for example, which will be a lot stiffer and stronger. The only other point is that this module does run a little bit warmer than most other modules that I've come across, which is probably a side effect of having the higher switching frequency. So you may find that your battery runs down a little bit quicker. We won't know until we get out in the field. Now, OwlRC support the OwlRX through their Facebook page, and this includes firmware updates. And in the next video, I'll cover how to check your current version and update it. So what do I think of this particular module? Well, my RapidFire has gone back for repair, and although I do quite like it, it's twice the price of this module, and I prefer this, you know. I think it's pretty good. And although the RapidFire has got this clever stitching algorithm to take the best of both images and mix them together, changing the switching speed on this to be 16 kilohertz makes a tremendous difference. And the way that it's integrated with the module, I think, is just fantastic. You don't have to take the goggles off to change your channel. It just works, it's convenient, and I think for the money it's superb value. And I just like the backstory. The OwlRX was developed with the express purpose of being the best performing receiver that doesn't kill your wallet, and it's a fantastic example of what can be achieved with a great deal of time, dedication and community love. Check it out, it's excellent. I'll leave links to all these products in the description below. If you found that useful, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, and if it's your first visit, then subscribe to the channel for updates. I try and get a video out every couple of weeks. I'll see you next time.